Hi there, VC. I thought I was going to get a little edgier now, and I think that most of you have gotten the idea when you've seen my videos that I'm not much of a rock and roll guy, and that's mostly true. I'm not into rock music that much. I've been listening to synth music, disco, and soul music and jazz since I grew up, so I haven't been uh, enjoying rock music that much, but of course, there are some rock music that I like very much, and especially 80s rock music. There are a lot of 80s rock artists that I like very much and have much album with, and I thought I was going to show some of them right now. Some of these artists are pretty good rock artists. Some of them are you may call them commercial rock music artists, and some of them are pending between rock and pop music, but still they're a little tougher than what I've shown so far. So let's go on with it, with a guy that I have liked very much since I heard him the first time. Fantastic artists that are no longer among us anymore. I'm talking about Gary Moore. I really like his voice. He's a marvelous guitar player. This is not an unusual album. This is Wild Frontier from 1987, consisting some of his best songs, Over the Hills and Far Away, and of course his version of the Easy Beat song, Friday on My Mind, I think is awesome. And I like him especially as a rock musician in the 80s, but I also liked his blues albums in the 90s. Fantastic, great rock artist that I like very much. Here's another Gary Moore album that I think is very special. This is the band that he had right after Thin Lizzy, I think, G-Force. This is a new release from 1987 of an album originally released in 1980, but it's a Spanish release. It's released in Spain from the beginning, so it's kind of special. It's great radio rock music. I definitely like this album, highly recommend it. From Ireland, we're staying in Ireland. Of course, had to show some U2. I like U2 very much, especially from the 80s and 90s. I think they have maybe aren't the same energy as they had once, but still it's a great band. This is a great album. Not unusual, nothing unusual here either, but still it's a great album. The Unforgettable Fire from 1984. Pride in the Name of Love, of course, is on this one. I like U2 very much. Here's a band that may pend a bit between pop and rock, but still I like them very much. Carol Decker and Tipau. This is Rage from 1988. I'm going to show some albums with artists that are a little bit sadly forgotten, and this is one of them. Of course, the most familiar album, Bridge of Spies from 1987, of course, is a fantastic album, but this is a sadly forgotten great album. Secret Garden, the single, is fantastic, really good. Arms of Love is also a song that took me a while to like, but now I like it very much. And I like Carol Decker's voice especially. She has such an energy in her voice that I like very much. So definitely a great band, Tipau. Another kind of forgotten album with a well-known artist is this one, Bryan Adams, Into the Fire from 1987. Of course, I like also his most familiar albums, Reckless and especially Waking Up the Neighbors, but that one is from the 90s, it's from 1991. So, but this one is a great, sadly forgotten rock album from 1987. Only the Strong Survive. It's a great rock tune, and also here, great special edition that contains a poster. So highly recommended. Bryan Adams, Into the Fire. Also sadly forgotten today is an artist that touring still. She's touring with other forgotten artists, rock artists from the 80s. She was actually in Sundsvall, here in Sundsvall last summer, I think. We're talking about Robin Beck and her album from 1989, Trouble or Nothing. And of course this one consisting first time, her most well-known single. But I think Robin Beck is that kind of artist that have been overshadowed by her biggest hit, because Robin Beck is so much more actually. I like her other singles also. Save Up All Your Tears and I like Tears in the Rain very much. This also contains If You Were a Woman and I Was a Man, a Bonnie Tyler song that I think she does a whole lot better than Bonnie Tyler actually does. Here's an artist that some of you may wonder, who the bloody hell is this? But it's a great artist that also is sadly forgotten. I'm talking about Scottish artist, rock artist Brian Spence, and his album Brothers from 1986. I discovered Brian Spence in Swedish radio in a radio program called Kulan i Luften, and I liked him very much. He has a great rock style, great melodies, great production and voice. Especially I recommend the song Will You Never Be My Friend. Great song, and it's a little bit somewhere between Richard Marx's rockier side and Bryan Adams, somewhere between that, but I like him very, very much. Of course, Heart, like Heart very, very much. I like especially the album Brigade from 1990, consisting All I Want to Do Is Make Love to You, is one of my absolute favorite songs of all time. But that one is 90s and not the 80s. This is definitely one of their best albums. Their self-titled from 1985. You might, at least here in Sweden, is their breakthrough. What About Love, great song, and These Dreams, it's maybe one of the best ballads ever made. Definitely think that the Wilson sisters sings awesome actually. Here is an album that some of you who are fans of this artist may not agree with me, because he's a legend that has been playing very, very long, but this is an album that is maybe not his most usual one, and it's because that it's a different style, what we used to hear him. Jeff Beck's album Flash from 1985. A little more disco style in the production, but I like this one very much. I heard it in the radio when it came in 1985, and I got very interested in it from the beginning. The instrumental song Escape is fantastic. It's really, really good. And I like this album very, very much. But I think that some of the Jeff Beck fans may not agree with me, but it's a sadly forgotten album. Now we're going into the only heavy metal album I really actually have. I'm not into heavy metal at all. When I hear Iron Maiden and so on, I accept and Dio, and I turn the radio off. Of course, those kind of more power ballad bands like Bon Jovi and Whitesnake and so on, I like them, of course, but regular heavy metal, no thanks. But this is an exception. This is Rat and their album Invasion of Our Privacy from 1985. And I heard them also at Swedish radio when this album was released, and I actually liked it. I don't know why. I like the production very much. I like the melodies. So Rat is a big exception. I like this album very much. A little softer, Huey Lewis and the News. I always liked Huey Lewis and his voice. He has a powerful, great voice. I also like this band very much because when you look at them and see them at videos and concerts and so on, they seem to have so much fun when they're playing. They seem really to love what they're doing, and it's always important actually the band like what they're doing. I like their melodies, like them very, very much. Of course, the most, I think, famous album for is All album, but this is one of their earliest album. Picture This from 1982, album that I bought in Stockholm actually. Great album. Now we're coming to a band that may be one of my absolute favorite rock bands from the 80s. A band that mixes American folk music with southern rock music, and I think you then know what I'm talking about. The Hooters and Eric Bazilian. Eric Bazilian, who actually lives partly anyway in Sweden. He has a summer residence, I think, in Järvsö, and he also speaks pretty good Swedish actually. And this is Nervous Nights from 1985, and We Danced, a marvelous single. But my absolute favorite Hooters album is this one from 1988, One Way Home. This is an album that I think has everything. It's great ballads, great feeling, so different in the production, and I think this album puts a great smile on my face. Satellite, a great single with an awesome funny video. Check that out. A great irony, satire video. Of course, Dire Straits, but this one is not the most unusual. It may be one of the most famous albums, but still I want to show it because I like this one very much. Brothers in Arms. So Far Away. Great, awesome album. Awesome track. I haven't listened all that much to Dire Straits' earlier works, but I'm going to, I promise. I think this album is fantastic. Finishes up with a band that I also liked almost from the first time I heard them. I really like the singer's voice. I like them because they mixes, have a rock-based production and little disco styles in it, but still it's very tough. I like them very much. I'm talking about Dan Reed Network. And this is the self-titled album from 1988, Get to You. Great single from this album. Highly recommended album, no doubt about it. And I also like a lot of their later stuff. I like Baby Now I, a great single from 91 that is sadly forgotten rock track. So with that, I hope you have enjoyed some rock albums, and I also like some rock music from the 90s, but that is for another video. If you liked the video, subscribe or leave a comment, and until next time, I hope you have a nice continuing of the week, and so long.